For the first time in the history of Ghana's Fourth Republic, a budget presented to Parliament by government was rejected. This was as a result of contention between the minority and majority side, albeit rejected by one side of the House. We don't yet have a budget for the upcoming year. My guest on Say It Loud today is the Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Honourable Ricketts Hagan. We speak to him about the 2022 budget and issues surrounding it. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is still Say It Loud on Ghana Web TV. My name is George AC, and as indicated earlier, my guest today is the Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Honourable Ricketts Hagan. Honourable, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
It's good to have you, but I don't know if it will be good for the majority side as it stands now. Your side has been accused of bad faith. What will be your response to that?
Thank you very much, and greetings to your viewers and listeners. I don't think that they should take it that way. I mean, our job as opposition is to provide a constructive criticism. If there is something in the budget that we objected to, or at least we are speaking on behalf of the public. I mean, we all know, we've been listening to the radios, we've been listening to the people on the streets by the very job that you guys are doing, speaking to people. And I think the general consensus is that the people are not happy, especially with the e-levy. I mean, the budget in its entirety, and also the e-levy in particular, and a few other things. So our job is to make sure that, as members of Parliament, to make sure that what the executive is bringing us as a budget is budget that will be acceptable to Ghanaians and will not add unnecessary hardships to the hardships that the people are already, feeling. And it is on that basis that we pointed certain items in the budget that we think will not to the benefit of Ghanaians, and that we wanted the finance minister to address those issues before we approve the budget.
Specifically, what are the details of the issues that the minority has with this budget? Specifically,
I think the issues, first of all, I must put on record that we are not saying that everything in the budget was bad. There are some good things in the budget, and there are things that we felt were problematic in the budget, and unfortunately you cannot just accept part of the budget and reject the other part. If you reject even a word in the budget, the whole budget is actually rejected. So even if you go and dot an I or T in a budget that has already been presented, that budget is seen as a new budget. So basically we pointed at a few things. If I should put them, let's say not in any particular order, the principle among the things we objected to was the e-levy. And the e-levy is something that not only we members in Parliament, but actually the general public or the citizens of Ghana felt that imposition of tax will be too much on the already burdened, Ghanaians. I think the second thing that we objected to was to do with fees and charges, which without any consultation, the government has decided to up it to about 15 to 30%, depending on which item you're looking at. And we felt that was too high, and that we already have fees in the budget, or the fees are already there, but we felt that the increment that the government was proposing to charge actually too high and needed to be looked at. I think the other thing was the way the Ijapa deal was smuggled into the budget. We were not happy with it, and we wanted the government to look at it, basically to remove it and bring it at an appropriate time when they want to look at Ijapa again. I think the fourth thing was to do with the wording of the Aka Energy. We felt that what was agreed upon, the wording that we have in the budget is not what was agreed upon. So we again prompted them to look at that. And then recently we had a tidal wave issue in Kita in the Volta region, which obviously affected a number of our brothers and Ghanaian sisters in that place. But we know that there's a sea defense project which has not been completed. So we're urging the government to have that in the budget as a priority, so that the people of the Volta region can sort of not be suffering that kind of fate. So these are the critical things that we pointed out to the government from the very beginning when the budget arrived. And we were expecting the minister to say something about those things that we had debated on, and not to come and ask us for more time to dialogue.
Okay, so Honorable, not to digress here, but then you made mention of Kita and the people, the current plight that they are going through. With all the responses that the government has given to the situation in Kita, not just limited to the budget issue or the sea defense war, but then with the response of government, do you think the government has been sensitive to the plight of the people of Kita? Absolutely not,
and that is what we were trying to point out. If the government wants to be sensitive, we expected that issue to be in the budget, to show the sensitivity. And the people, apart from not being in the budget, the responses that so far has been given to the people of Kita is not adequate. We haven't seen the president there, we haven't seen the vice president when he was acting as a president. We haven't seen any substantial move to address the issue there. But the most important is not about the aftermath, but we wanted the government to address the causes of this tidal wave, which is to do with state defense.
You have eloquently adduced your position as a minority, but then there's been complaints from the side of the majority that you are not doing this in the interest of Ghana. And as a matter of fact, it is just a matter of the NDC preparing the minds of Ghanaians to win 2024. What will be your response?
Well, that is their opinion. It is their opinion. With this, the thing with this government is that if you oppose anything that they are doing wrongly, they take you to be an enemy of the state. But that is not democracy. Democracy is the opportunity for people to voice their objection to things that they think is not going well for the country. And anytime anybody does that, even people who are outside parliament, it is seen as they being political. But we cannot actually live in a democracy like this. Democracy is a give and take. You have to listen and be able to correct things that the people. We are all the servants of the people. We serve the people of Ghana. Therefore, if we are serving them in something that is not in their interest, and then somebody points it out, then it is seen as politics or anti-Ghanaian. That's not the way to go.
So, the budget has been rejected, as in per the declaration of the speaker. But then, from the majority side, there's the issue. They are raising an argument of constitutionality that it doesn't hold. What would be your response?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but then when you look at the provisions, both in the Constitution and in our standing orders, I think the procedure that were the procedural issues were followed, to the letter. I mean, don't forget, the Speaker is one of the most experienced parliamentarians in the country. He's been there longer than anyone who has ever served in Parliament, and he's gone through these budgets maybe over 20 times, considering the number of years that he was in Parliament. He has been a leader of the majority. He's been a leader of the minority back and forth. So if anybody understands our standing orders, which hasn't actually changed very much since they came into effect in in the early days, that it will be the Speaker. I don't see the point that they are trying to, and I have read all the provisions that they are talking about, and I don't see anything wrong with what the Speaker did. My only thing, and maybe my interpretation may be wrong, is that the idea of using 104, which is the Constitution, and 109 to buttress their case, that we didn't have the numbers to be able to make that decision, I think they are wrong. Because when you look at the same, and then the other provision that they were talking about of getting ministers, I will come to that. Let's deal with the first one, Article 111, which also they were wrong. My understanding is that the voting takes place when we have members present and voting. What does members present and voting means? Members present and voting means members who are in the chamber who have recorded or registered their name as willing able and willing to do government business on the day, and ready to vote, which was the motion that we were there for. They were there. We were 274, as I counted. There was only one member of parliament who was not there, was Honorable Adjo Safo, I believe. Okay, so 274 recorded their names in the parliamentary register that they are in parliament and ready to do the government business of voting the motion. That's why we were there. When the final debate that leads to the motion started, they were present. Minority speaker spoke, majority spoke, the finance minister spoke. Even though normally they change the order they do it, is not how we did it. You know, usually the finance minister will be given an opportunity to address the concerns raised by our opposition. Hopefully those are concerns on behalf of Ghana.
So, not to stop you, but then they staged the walked out. Consequently, you decided to go ahead, one-sided, reject the budget. They are saying that it is wrong and that you didn't have the required number in the Constitution. Yes, you have explained that, but are you trying to mean that consequentially their walking out had no effect as per the provisions of 104?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. That members present and voting should constitute half. Members present and voting when we started were 274 out of 275. Now, if I'm sitting in there ready to vote and I get up and go to use the washroom, and when I come, they have finished the voting, would I say that is unconstitutional because half of us were in the washroom? Because when the process started, and don't forget that you can absent yourself from voting. Would I say that I didn't vote, therefore we were not? If half of the people were there, they didn't walk out. They could have chosen not to walk out but sit there and not vote. If they had sat down and not voted, it will be seen as being present and voting. So the moment the process starts, and don't forget that they actually voted in the first motion. The motions, we had only one motion for the day, which is the approval of the budget. The finance minister came in and he, in his statement, asked for a prayer, which is basically time to be able to, go and address issues as he claimed. Now, that became a motion, which was a twin motion, together with a motion of being able to vote for the budget. Now, if the first motion, depending on how it goes, may influence whether the second motion will come in or not. They are mutually exclusive. They are not separated. Those issues are together. Okay, they took part in the first one. Okay, how many were we when they took part? 274. Then, no, the proof that they took part was that the deputy speaker or deputy majority leader challenged the speaker on his ruling for the nose instead of the eyes. And it's that challenge that led to what is called the division, which is what they requested. Now, when you request for division has a procedure. One of the procedures is to get people who are, we would term as lobbyists, but in our sense we don't have lobbyists and all that. But anybody, to put it simply, anybody who is a stranger, as far as parliament is concerned.
We are talking about non-parliamentarians.
Non-parliamentarians on the floor of parliament. When you go to other jurisdictions, as Speaker rightly pointed out, that we don't have lobbyists in the right sense. So we take lobby to be the seat behind us in parliament. There is a clear difference between what the lobby is and what a public gallery is. They are not the same thing.
It is good you have mentioned the public gallery. Another issue that has come up has to do with the presence of your party's general secretary, Johnson Esiedun Ketia. For the majority, their basis of walking out is because the speaker decided to walk the minister out and allowed Mr. Esiedun Ketia to stay. Do you think the majority had their reason was justified?
It's not a legitimate reason, as I have just pointed out to you. Unless they don't know the difference between a lobby and the public gallery, as we have copied from the United States and from Britain. They are two separate places. If you are clearing the lobby, you are clearing people who are on the floor of Parliament. If we 111 of our Constitution actually says that ministers, from Vice President, ministers, deputy ministers, can participate in the proceedings of Parliament. Absolutely clear. Proceedings of Parliament means anything that we do in the chamber. Okay? But the same Constitution, on the same Article 111, before it finished that article, says that except. So you have privileges just the same as the member of Parliament, but your privileges stops when it comes to voting.
Okay. So, yes, this has happened.
And the voting of a division states that anybody who is a stranger at that point must be taken out. Therefore, you don't have any privileges again as a minister under 111.
So, in your view, what would be the very reason why the majority decided to stage the walkout? If this is not the...
Well, they are putting that on the premise that Asiedin Katia was there. But Asiedin Katia was not there as, what is it called, General Secretary of the NDC. Don't forget that he was also a member of the board in Parliament. He wasn't also there as a member of the board of Parliament. Asiedin Katia could have been invited to be in the lobby by the position that he's a member of the board. They didn't do that, or he didn't do that. He went to sit in the gallery just like other people were sitting in there as a citizen of Ghana.
So
it doesn't go beyond citizenship.
To you, what motivated the majority to walk out, even though they've said everything that they want to say? From everything that you know.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that they realized that they didn't have the numbers. Because don't forget that in the morning, all the things they were talking about, that they were having a meeting and all that, we knew what they were doing. What they were doing basically was waiting for people to arrive in the country. There are people who came in who we haven't seen in Parliament since we opened, but were there on the day, were flown into the country. And unfortunately, I don't know whether Honorable Adjosafu was in there. We'll see on Tuesday whether she was on the air coming and her flight has delayed. They were just delaying things to be able to get their people in. They realized they don't have the numbers, and of course they were going to lose, especially when the speaker has called no for the first one, and now he was going to get people out who were people on their side, because the ministers are not on our side. They are MPP ministers, or they are ministers from the MPP stock. So for me, that's the only thing, because they are Sergio Nkatia argument does not hold water.
Okay. So yes, this is still Say Loud on Ghana Web TV with me, George AC, and my guest today is the Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Honorable Kweku Ricketts Hagan. We take a quick break, and when we return, we speak on what happens when Parliament reconvenes on Tuesday. Are they going to concede, or are they going to come into consensus so that by December 31st, going into 1st January 2022, we will have a new budget? We'll be right back.
From the dawn of time, people have engaged in several businesses. With the onset of technology and innovation, life has relatively been made easier. By using debit or credit cards,
mobile banking.
Thank you. And your favorite, mobile money?
tech has indeed married business. On BizTech, we spend time with faces behind known and upcoming businesses in the country.
Learn more about the new technologies and innovation,
as well as find out about the trending issues in the world of business.
Join us as we serve you with a variety of compelling interviews, projects and others right here on Ghana Web TV.
Welcome back from the break. My name is George AC and this is still Say Loud on Ghana Web TV. As you know, my guest today is the Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Honorable Kweku Ricketts Hagan, and we are talking about the 2022 budget. Honorable, Tuesday Parliament reconvenes. What is the expectations of the minority going into the meeting on Tuesday?
Yeah, Judge, with your permission, I want to point a certain things out that will lead to what may or may not happen on Tuesday. One of them is there had been this allegation that the speaker called the marshal to walk the finance minister out. That is incorrect information. We were all in the house. What the speaker, and it wasn't only the finance minister who was the minister who is not a member of parliament present. There were other ministers. At least I spotted the transport minister and a couple of others. So when the speaker gave that directive, the finance minister, to be fair to him, had already woken up or gotten up from his seat, and he was walking, to go out. But there were other ministers who were still sitting down, they were reluctant to basically go out. So I'm sure the speaker spotted them, and the speaker said that he could use the marshal to walk people out, trying to say that if people don't want to go willingly, they will be forced out of the chamber. He didn't say that marshal, get the finance minister and take him out. We have the hands out there. There's a recording of what took place. People could go and listen and see whether at any point the speaker actually asked the marshal to take the finance minister out. That never happened. But there were ministers who were sitting there that were reluctant to go out. Again, the ruling is that the budget has been rejected. The finance minister asked for time, which became a motion, to, at least you would have expected that since they have challenged the motion, they would have been there to make sure whether the time that they were looking for the finance minister happened. But they decided to walk out. The ruling has been made by the Speaker of Parliament per what we said, that we had rejected the budget, which he heard quietly through the voice message and all that, voice vote and all that. I expect my brothers and sisters on the other side to come in a much sober way than they did on Friday. And remember,
you think they didn't come with the right attitude?
They didn't at all. And their behavior in Parliament was quite shameful. Behavior of a couple of the members, especially, who were beating tables and putting on the mic and speaking to the speaker. I mean, these are members of Parliament, honorable members. They know how business is conducted in the Parliament, and their behavior on that day was, to say the least, not honorable at all. So I hope that after tempers have come down, the budget is being rejected. If the finance minister really wanted to address or wants to address some issues we have raised in the budget, he has a perfect opportunity.
But here is the case: your people voted against his motion to engage you. On what basis would you want the minister to do something about the budget and then not give him audience?
Well, the minister, first of all, should have engaged us when they started putting the budget together, because there are issues that were going to go into the budget that required some kind of consensus and discussion, and Parliament was taken out of this. The first time we saw these things, we heard rumors. The first time we saw it is when it actually appeared in the budget, as we had suspected. So we had an opportunity to have debate on the budget, which the minister did not show up. Normally, I've been a deputy minister of finance before, so I've been on the other end where we have presented, a few budgets to Parliament. What we agree is that the finance minister, whose budget, on behalf of the president, is being approved, needs to be there to listen to the debate and take some notes as to the concerns raised and see what he can do about it. In the absence of the finance minister, maybe because he's been called to cabinet or whatever, one of his deputies, and he's got more than one, should sit in. So in my time, myself and Honorable Atufosin were both members of Parliament, so it was easy for us to take his intent. But if your minister is not there and your deputy is there, the understanding is that maybe the deputy is taking the notes. He wasn't there until the final day. And I equate that to a marriage. When you are having a marriage ceremony, usually there is a famous saying when the couple are standing there about to be married, where the pastor will ask, or the priest will ask, if there is anyone who has something against this marriage, must speak out or forever hold their peace. So if there's someone in the public who is probably married to the man or married to the woman or had something that makes it impossible for them to marry, that person will speak up. But when such a question is put and one of the couple, let's say the husband, puts up his hand that he has something to say, you would think that that is not the place for the husband. And the husband says, oh, I'm sorry, I have another wife, so I want my wife to know that I'm marrying her as a second wife. That is not the place to say that. So the time the finance minister was asking for us to give him time, that was like being in the altar and saying to the wife.
So by your analogy, you were ambushed, or he was attempting to ambush the minority?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the issues that we have raised, when minority leader puts it together, he mentioned the issues which we've been talking about. It was not different. He didn't say anything new. Maybe the only thing new was the Qatar issue, which is something that happened during the budget process. The e-levies and all that, we have spoken about it long before. He never consulted us. He went ahead that he thought, what these guys have refused to understand or appreciate is that the parliament as we know it has changed, and that there has to be a paradigm shift in the way we think, and that now this is more what you call the hung parliament. 137, we have an independent who makes them a majority. Otherwise, they are not a majority party. They are a majority group, as the speaker describes them. And they have to understand that with that kind of numbers, business cannot be as usual. Gone are the days when you have 169 and 106. Even if your 30 of your people don't show up, you will still carry the day. But now, even one member absent, like Ajo Safo was quite problematic for them. And they need to see that this is probably the best, I say, that this is probably the best parliament for Ghana, in the sense that parliament will not become a rubber stamp again, and that we'll have an opportunity to execute our duty as the people who provide oversight and put the executive.
Do you think the parliament has so far lived up to that expectation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It has worked both ways, where we have been able to elect a speaker, where we have lost out on ministers' approval, where we have now rejected a budget. So it's been up and down. It's not been one way where one party has gotten its way throughout. So that is the kind of parliament, even though we were accused in the ministerial thing. But then I will say that since I didn't know anybody who did something wrong, or as they were claiming collected money or whatever, I will say that this is the kind of parliament you will get for the next 3 years.
Okay, so Tuesday is coming, and you are saying that they should change their approach. In what terms are you asking for the majority and the minister to approach your side?
Whatever consultation he wanted to have at that 11th hour when we were about to approve the budget, now he has ample time to do that consultation. Whatever he was going to change in the budget, because he can't just have a consultation with us and we'll go and approve the budget per his consultation. They were definitely going to change something, unless of course they tell us they're not going to change anything. Then we are right in even rejecting the budget. Whatever he was going to change, he should suggest that to us, and then let's have an agreement on it and present a new budget as soon as possible. As you were saying, we need to have a budget by the 31st of December. Otherwise, we can't spend on the 1st of January. So we have time. If we have to work through the Christmas period, it's happened elsewhere in the US and other places, where when there are budget dispute.
And your side, you don't mind?
No, I wouldn't mind. I will cancel. I had holiday plan. But I serve the people of Ghana. That is why they elected me to parliament, my constituency. And I will not have my personal comfort over the nation. So if we are to work during the Christmas period, even Christmas Day, I'll be in parliament to work for Ghana. Ghana first. It's not about what we want to score. For me, I don't see this as a political score, as they claim we are doing politics with it. I don't see it as a political score that NDC has won by rejecting the budget. Rejecting the budget and NDC winning does not do anything for my grandmother in the village. Doesn't do anything for people who are looking for jobs. It doesn't do anything for the hardships that people are feeling. So we should go together as the political class to address this problem the best way we know how, and cut out all these insult on speaker who is our speaker, all of us, and say that the speaker was wrong. People have become speakers overnight. Honorable Cheche Mensambuso is not the speaker. Neither is he the deputy or whatever speaker. So he cannot give interpretation no matter how long he's been in the parliament.
You think he's going beyond his
He's
limits?
going beyond his purview. He's going beyond his purview. I mean, the ruling has been made by the speaker. There are channels open to you if you disagree. But to come and say that the budget has not been rejected, I mean, in what capacity are you saying the budget is not being rejected? When the speaker, look, we need to understand that there's only one president in this country, and that is Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and he's going to be president, God willing, for the next 3 years. There is only one speaker of parliament, that is ASK Bagbin. God willing, with good health, he's going to be a speaker for the rest of the term, which is the 3 years. We should learn to work together. We should not take criticism to be enmity. We should sit down and work together for Ghana. We were elected for a reason. Ghanaians created the 137. It wasn't our doing. God and Ghanaians created that for a reason. The reason is that we should be able to work together and get good value for money for the country. Not do the rubber stamping parliament in the past, where minority will have their say, but majority will carry the day. Okay. This day, nobody has their say, nobody carries the day. We will have to do the right thing for the country, and that this budget, this parliament, God willing, will ensure that. I don't think there's anything going to, nobody should worry about anything going to happen.
That would have been my next question.
Nothing is going to happen.
Ghanaians are concerned. They say that, well, it will be far-fetched, but then are we heading towards a government shutdown? Should we be afraid?
Look, there's not going to be any government shutdown, because government shutdown on the 31st of January, the framers of our constitution and the standing orders make room for some important spending to go on, like paying of salaries and all that will be done.
So even if there is no budget before 31st
yes,
December, Ghana will still be there.
There can be a resolution for certain things too. Nothing is going to, the election you had, people are going to do this. So we had the election. One side thought the election was not won by the other. It was taken to court. They had been ruling. We are sitting in a country. A president has been elected, whether you like it or not. Whether I thought that he didn't win the election genuinely or not, he's my president. There's nothing I can do about it. Mine is to work with him to make sure that things work out. You have people who are saying Bagbin was not elected and all that, by the majority. That is neither here nor there. You have people saying that, he did that quickly because he was traveling. He traveled on a Saturday. He would have sat there all night on Friday if he had to. So all those little things trying to divide us, there is more that puts us together than divide us. And we should begin to realize that and stop that random attacks, unnecessary things, and do the work for Ghanaians. I pray and hope, and I stretch my arm of reconciliation to the people on the other side, that we should go there on Tuesday and be honorable members and do the job Ghanaians expect us to.
So we are just about wrapping up, but then we can't leave without getting the honorable members' view on one specific issue. The issue about the president's recent travels and his decision to use private jets and all the issues that has come along with it. Honorable, what do you make of this whole issue about the president's private jet issue?
Well, thank you again on that. I really don't see what this government is trying to hide. You are spending the people's money for your travels, and the people are saying that the money that you are spending on your travels, our money, we want to know how much money you are spending on your travels, and you say that is a national security. But your travel itself is not a national security. You could travel to the United States by telling the Speaker of Parliament you are going, and that honorable, what is it called? His Excellency Bawumia is now to take over. We know your location, but you cannot tell us how much money you are using to do those travels. I find it very difficult to understand that. When you go to other jurisdictions, such information are public information and they are available. The money you spent has no security threat than your traveling. So I don't see how the money becomes a national security, but where you are going is not a national security. So basically, we had called the Minister of Finance to, when I was at the Ministry of Finance, when a president is traveling, and obviously president goes with staffers and maybe other ministers and all that, their finances for the traveling is worked out by the Ministry of Finance. Obviously, if a particular minister is traveling, it will be worked out by the ministry, but the money will be taken from the Ministry of Finance, because that will be part of their budget. Government machinery, those monies for traveling and stuff are factored in, and the Ministry of Finance look for the money for them. So if a finance minister should have that information as to the cost of the minister of the president travel, for him to come and say that he has no answers but is the Minister for National Security. Where does the Minister for National Security get the money from? They get it from the Ministry of Finance. So the Ministry of Finance should know how much. Okay, now the minister too says he doesn't have that information, or it's a national security. The national security component of his answer is what I don't understand. If the president travel itself is not a security threat, therefore not a national security, how can the money spent be a national security? I mean, if the president is traveling and somebody wants to harm, they are not going to harm the money he's traveling with. It's his person.
So for you, what is the government hiding?
Well, the government is hiding the overspending in that area as well, for their luxurious living, the renting of jet for thousands of dollars in an hour in the air, for providing a bathing facilities, which they found it important. I mean, if there's a bathing facility in a plane, there's nothing wrong with it. But to come and insist that the president needs a particular bath room or something in the plane, that is why, as a justification for going to that plane, it's a complete nonsense. And I want them to come again and tell us exactly what the taxpayers' money is being used for. If you're going to stay, if I travel on a government, money, and you want to ask me that, Honorable, when you went, the hotel you stayed in, how much did it cost? As a citizen of Ghana, I should be able to tell you. If you are staying in the hotels at an astronomical prices or rates, and that is why you don't want to tell the people. Because a country like Ghana, you cannot go and stay in a hotel, as we recently saw, for $8,000 a night or something in the United States. I mean, it's basically an abuse of power and the waste of taxpayers' money. When people are here suffering, when you are taxing people, that the country is so tight that the little momo somebody is doing, they should be taxed. And you are renting plane at that cost, going to stay in a hotel with a lot of people with you. That's an abuse of power. And the earlier they come and answer that question, I think it's also one of the things we requested for as part of the things we need to approve the budget. But for me, that should not hold the budget from being approved. But we need those answers.
It's been pleasant having the Honourable Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Honourable Ricketts Hagan. Honourable, thanks for joining us. He's a former Deputy Finance Minister, so issues that has to do with budget is a stay. And he says that the minority is ready, available and able, and are extending a hand to the majority. They should just engage them, and Ghana, hopefully by 31st December and by January 2022, will have a budget to work with. Thanks for joining me. My name, as always, is George AEC, and this is Say It Loud on Ghana Web TV.